Well, earlier I asked Gordon Brown why, with the SNP and the Tories opposing this plan, he had any hopes of it succeeding.
Keir Starmer's setting up citizens' assemblies, and then he's setting up a commission, and then he's potentially setting up a constitutional convention, that is a real break with the past. And I don't think any Labour leader has been able to do that in the past, and therefore it's a big thing. And I would have thought that the SNP and the Conservatives should welcome the fact that we're looking at some of the flaws in the Constitution and to see how they can be reformed. I think it's very interesting that they're both opposing it because, in a sense, what's gone wrong in this crisis is that there has not been cooperation. The Scottish Government and the UK Government have not worked well. So we could do this a lot better. And remember, this is a life and death issue.
But isn't the reality here that actually you're talking about a proposal that nobody particularly wants? I mean, opinion polls suggest that a majority of people might support independence in Scotland. I haven't seen any opinion polls suggesting that what we need is this bold vision to strengthen devolution.
Well, Gary, if I may say so, you're not looking at the polls that have been done. Because, yes, there are people who are so frustrated that they want to think about independence, and I accept that that is what people are talking about in some cases. But equally, at the same time, you've got a poll that says 75% of the people in Britain, and the same figure in Scotland, want there to be greater cooperation between the Scottish and UK governments and between the regions and the UK government and Wales and the UK government. People are actually fed up by the standoffs, by people claiming political advantage in the midst of a crisis. We should be working far more closely together.
Do we need constitutional change just to get governments to work together?
Yes, we will need constitutional change to make sure that governments can work better together than they did in the past. Because if you've got a medical emergency, look, if you take vaccination, this is a British system of developing the vaccination. If you take testing, a lot of the testing done in Scotland is by the UK government. If you take the problem of drugs in Scotland, where we've seen these reports over the last few weeks, that's shocking. The lack of cooperation between the Scottish and the UK government should make them both ashamed that they can't find a way to working together. I was dealing with this issue of BIFAB in my old constituency, the company that went under. We couldn't find a basis on which the Scottish and UK government could work together. This standoff, when people's lives and livelihoods are at risk, is doing us damage, and we've got to look at how better we can cooperate in the future.
Why is it the wrong time for an independence referendum when we're dealing with COVID, yet the right time to talk about a devolution project in the middle of COVID?
Because we're planning ahead. We're looking at what we need for the longer-term future.
Well, the SNP would say the same about their independence plans.
No, they want... Come on, Gary. They want a referendum in 2021. They want a referendum in the midst of a virus, in the midst of a recession. When the Scottish elections already, we've got the COP26 conference. The idea that we should be talking about a divisive referendum in the next few months, when we've got life and death issues that we've got to address to, they should be talking about how better they can cooperate with the UK to deal with these issues rather than how they can split off at the moment.
So what is the timing then on this project? Because many people might feel that when Labour has talked in the past about further devolution, it's just been kicked into the long grass. Isn't there the danger the same will happen here?
Gary, this is ridiculous that you're saying that. The Labour Party created the Scottish Parliament in 1997. The Labour Party then developed the proposals in the Coleman Commission that led to further devolution in the last few years.
And talked about Lord's reform that never happened.
But hold on, I'm talking about devolution, we're talking about devolution, and you cannot deny that the Labour Party also led the way when we urged that the Smith Commission bring further devolution to Scotland. But I think what Keir Starmer is doing is something that is far more ambitious. He's wanting to talk to the people in every region and nation of the United Kingdom. He's wanting to listen not to what they say only about constitutions, but about the management of public health, the way we've managed this recession, Brexit, of course, and the implications of that for Scotland and for the whole of the country, and then see what proposals can emerge. People want more decisions made nearer home, but they also know that you need to cooperate in the modern world if you're going to get action on major issues like a common virus and a common recession.
You talk about the Smith Commission. Of course, there was the vow in 2014 as well. Isn't there the danger that you actually... Aren't you? Isn't there the danger? Well, a lot of people on the independent side do not believe that to be true. Isn't there the danger that you're the wrong figurehead for this because they do not trust you, do not believe you?
I'm not trying to be a figurehead for anything. You know, I gave up politics a long time ago. I just want to help. When Keir Starmer has asked me for help, I want to help. But I do say you've got to correct your view of history here, Gary. The vow was delivered. The Scottish Parliament got far greater powers. Now, of course, if you're in favour of independence, then you say that it wasn't enough. But that wasn't the purpose of the vow. The purpose of the vow was to give Scottish people greater powers through the Scottish Parliament to deal with some of the major issues affecting us. And I remember at the first meeting, John Swinney came in and he took the issue of pensions off the table because he didn't want pensions devolved to the Scottish Parliament. So I think there's a lot of rewriting of history being done by the Scottish National Party. The vow was actually delivered. And if some of the issues that the Scottish Parliament are dealing with are not being taken up by the Scottish Government, like on poverty and social security, it's their fault. It's not the fault of the lack of powers here.
That's the former Prime Minister, Gordon Brown.